Welcome to Marriage, Let's Talk, hosted by legendary worldwide marriage encounter leader, Father Rosy Rosebrough, featuring Catholic married couples from around the world who demonstrate healthy communication for building better marriages. And now, here's Father Rosy.
Hi, Father Rosy here. I'm glad you could join us today. This podcast is not talking about marriage. It is where we're going to share how to create a better marriage through communicating feelings in authentic ways. Hi, Ron and Pam.
Hey, Father Rosy.
Ron and Pam just graduated their last child this past two or 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And then one of moved out too, so we're rapidly
He moved out too?
empty nest.
Did he move out too?
Not yet. We had our youngest daughter also moved out. She just got an apartment in DC. So
You guys, well, he's chosen his college, you said, or not? Is he chosen his college?
He did. He's gonna go to the University of Tennessee.
Going to leave when? August?
in August, yeah.
So then the nest is empty.
Yep.
Well, this evening, we welcome Ron and Pam Bishop, who have been raising their children for how many years? Over how many years?
28.
Yeah.
Our oldest is 28.
28 years, and their last child has graduated from high school. And they're working a summer job.
He is. He's working at a pizza place.
Okay, so then until August, then he'll disappear to college, I presume.
Yes.
And then you're empty nesters, which is a practice empty nesters, because how close is he to home? Where's the college at?
Oh boy, he'll be about 7 hours away.
So that's far enough, he can't bring his laundry home.
No.
Unless it's a long weekend, right? Yeah.
Well, good. What do you have for a topic tonight for us? And marriage, let's talk.
Yep. So what we decided to do was dialogue on the following statement. Describe a feeling I have that I don't want to share with you. So that was our statement that we moved from for our love letter and descriptions of the feeling that we are hesitant to share with each other.
Thank you. Being vulnerable and risky. And yet you'll reap a great reward. Go ahead, proceed.
Okay. All right. Dear Ron, a feeling I have sometimes that I don't want to share with you or you to know about is my feeling of discontent. I prefer to be perceived as agreeable and easygoing, so I tend to keep my discontent to myself. I will share it with you now, though. When I feel discontent about life or specific circumstances, it is like being outside in spring or summer, anticipating the warm sun on my skin, only to have a cloud cover the sun. I end up chilled. To the touch, my discontent feeling is scratchy and itchy, maybe like a mosquito bite. It tastes bland, like a bland meal I had to wait an hour for in a restaurant. The color of my discontent feeling is gray, like the slate gray of the ocean on a cloudy day. Another experience of discontent I've had is when I want to go play tennis, but the strings of my racket are broken. First time out in the spring, that's very disappointing, and I feel discontent. A shared experience with you might be when our infant son was misdiagnosed with a medical condition. I felt very discontent with the pediatrician who ordered all the unnecessary tests that we had to go through. And usually my discontent feeling is rather strong, probably an 8 on a 10-point scale. Love, Pam.
Thanks.
Mhm. Okay, I have a little cold, so we're not gonna work on it against today. There you go.
Okay, for mine, dear Pam, I love you. The feeling that I have that I don't want to share with you is a feeling of cowardliness. I have felt this way when it comes to my role of leading the family in prayer. I don't like to be judged, and I think if I lead the family in prayer, our children might judge me for it. My cowardliness feeling is like passing by a homeless person begging for money, and I avoid eye contact and I don't put money in their cup. My feeling would look like a day in the dead of winter with gray skies and a barren field with nothing moving and devoid of all life and is brown and dry and bare. The texture was like a cold, heavy piece of steel. That when I touch it, the heat and life drain right from my body. If it had a taste, it would be bitter, like the taste of the thin inner shell of a peanut. My intensity is a 9. Love, Ron.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so at this point in the process, we have to decide who's feeling to explore more.
Mhm.
And excuse me, Ron's feeling the intensity was a 9 and mine was an 8. So we're gonna go ahead and dialogue on Ron's feeling.
Okay.
So I'm going to investigate Ron's feeling and try to get to the point where I can actually feel the cowardly feeling also. So first of all, I'm struck by the description of the coldness
Mhm.
of your feeling. You said it is a cold piece of steel that drains the heat right from your body. That's pretty intense. So that brings to mind for me, like the Christmas Day parade we were in, and I forgot my coat and my gloves, and I was so cold. That was the coldest I've ever been. Do you remember that parade?
I absolutely remember that parade in Chesapeake, Virginia.
Mhm.
It was cold, it was dark. I don't even remember how much fun we had or anything. It was just so cold. It's close to that feeling, but it's not quite there from a cowardliness type of
Okay,
cold.
and you remembered your coat, so
I remember
that makes all the difference. Okay, so I'd like to explore then the bitter taste you described.
Okay.
The inner shell of a peanut can be bitter.
Mhm.
Is it bitter like coffee?
Yeah, I'm not much of a coffee drinker. So yeah, absolutely. When I wince and I'm definitely cowardly when I tasting coffee, especially black coffee because of the bitter taste. So that's a good analogy.
Okay.
I also think of tasting it like I think of you got me thinking of like a grape that shrivels up into a raisin. That to me is another good visual of my cowardliness kind of feeling, drawing inward.
Okay, that's a good one.
Mm.
So a raisin is a smaller form of a grape.
Mhm.
So is your cowardly feeling a small feeling, like being small? Maybe like being disrespected or bullied in some way?
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely a small feeling. I feel like I'm shriveling up and closing up inside. And I'm not standing up for myself in certain regards. And I do recall a time now when I feel small. It was like in middle school. I remember being called names, made fun of my looks, and I didn't stand up for myself, and so that definitely felt cowardly in that regard.
I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. I got over it.
You know what that makes me think of, and getting to a shared experience is really helpful. So could a shared experience be when we accommodated our oldest son when he was in high school and he demanded silence in the house so he could study? And, all in the name of good grades and all of that, but we have 3 other children and they might have been playing or loud. And we didn't really say anything. Like, we didn't have conversations about how we could all work together and accommodate each other, but we just kind of allowed that and even stifled ourselves, to be more quiet. So when I think about that, I kind of feel that way. It makes me think of the raisin from the grape, like just shriveling up. So that would be cowardly for me. Is that a shared experience that might work?
Absolutely. So if there was a sound, it would be that sound of him banging on the wall,
Mhm.
tell us to be quiet.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we would shush the kids and turn the TV down. And
Yeah.
so that would definitely be a cowardly sound where, we didn't really train him to have a more healthy response to
Right.
that, right? We live in a house, we live in a family,
Yeah.
there are other ways to do it. And so, yeah, so that goes along similar to my not leading the family in prayers, not properly disciplining our children to to respond better to their needs, and instead of just acting out that way. And so that was definitely a cowardly feeling. So I definitely think that you're experiencing my feeling with that. So thank
Okay,
you.
well,
Yeah,
thank you.
You're welcome.
We would kiss, but we can't tonight. So thank you.
I love you, but.
What?
I love you, but.
I love you,
Yes,
but yeah.
So just to recap a little bit, you know, it helps us understand each other when we risk to trust each other with our feelings that we're not even comfortable with. So that's what we did. And it's hard, but it's so worthwhile because we really were able to feel that same feeling. And so I have more compassion for Ron and empathy, and I appreciate that.
And it builds on each other, right? You do it the first time and you realize you're not going to get judged for your feeling. You're not going to get, why did you feel that way? You're just going to get appreciated for having that feeling. And you can walk alongside the other person knowing that, and just empathetic about how they're feeling and what they're going through. So yeah, it's very different, very healing. And so that the next time you have a strong feeling, that you can feel more confident the next time to share it with your spouse.
Yeah.
I was thinking that as you were sharing the discontent of Pam, and then Ron for the cowardice, that we don't live in an isolation box. And all those feelings that you're talking about, which also has a vulnerability to your heart, that you have, once you do that in that area, the other person sees more about who you are and your tendencies. And two things can happen. One is, I can, if Ron maybe it can say at times, like before you share with me on discontent, is that another example? Almost sudden, and that almost surprised you that he listened so well through his understanding you, it'll pick it up a little quicker. And then all of a sudden you haven't shared it, it's not as hidden. I always talk about Charlie Brown hiding his head, but even his butt out to be found. In playing hide and seek. I love that. And they still didn't find him. So all of a sudden they said, did we hear a sigh? You want to be found, but it's great when your husband and a wife can find you and call you out a little more, and listen such with compassion that you understand that maybe that discontent is occurring now, not just in the past. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're talking about sort of these more difficult feelings to share, the discontent and the cowardly, but on the easier side, very consistently over the 10 years we've done this, my happy feeling is strawberry shortcake. And so that comes up in our life all the time, in just joking conversation, or, we're going to have strawberry shortcake just because it is a happy thing for me. So that is an example of that, but on the opposite side. So yeah, we understand that.
See, like almost like if example, if you would say, I got that scratchy, itchy feeling again. But you
Mm,
don't say, but you don't say discontent. But
right.
it sets you to say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's go, tell me a little more. And then all of a sudden the door is open because you opened it already and it's not a latch, not locked with a bolt. And, there's not 3 locks on it. It's just, you've opened it up before he can come in and you allow him in because you don't use the word discontent. You say scratchy and itchy,
Yeah.
a word that gets it, all of a sudden it should stop you. And if it doesn't, then she may be upset because you're hoping that you may catch on without being openly vulnerable, but close.
Mhm,
That makes sense. And also the cowardice, you think about, you should have spoken, shoulda, woulda, coulda. And
Yeah.
Aunt Biddy gets a hold of you and just beats the tar out of you, takes you into the closet, said, you shoulda, coulda this, you coulda, and rather than once you've had that kind of opening, you talked about being cold steel, and kind of, and it's so heavy. Again, you say like cold steel, she's gonna think of this incident.
Right.
And all of a sudden, that's a door opening, you're opening more doors for each other, it seems, that allows you to easily get inside.
yeah.
Is that what normally occurs? Are you that sensitive to each other already?
Sometimes with certain things, it depends on the pace of life, I think. The tuning in and the ability to go further in things. It depends on the pace of what's going on in our lives. Sometimes we'll like make appointments to talk about something. Like we don't, we'll look at the week and okay, we need to discuss this certain thing, but we need to wait until Thursday at 6:30 or something, which is good. We have business meetings, we have ways to make sure we're communicating as much as we can.
Pam does a much better job of being aware of those feelings. I have to sit and let it kind of brew in my heart to even recognize what that feeling is. Yeah, but you're right. When if there's just something, she just can sense it. So I get that itchy, scratchy feeling. I don't even have to say it. I could be doing this, and she may already realize that maybe there's a discontent, or I look a certain, I'm not making eye contact or something like that, and she can pick up with what I'm feeling. Where I'm like, I don't know what I'm feeling. I need to sit here and think about what that feeling is before I can kind of share it with you, because I don't even know myself.
Which is where the writing is so helpful.
Yeah.
To take the time to write the letter is so helpful to have it all bubble up.
I remember when they were teaching me the Myers-Briggs, they talked about the introvert versus the extrovert. And the extrovert works it out loud outside the tent. They're doing all kinds of things, and when the introvert goes inside the tent and works things out, and people outside don't know what he's doing or what she's doing, but the person inside the tent thinks, well, I know what an extrovert does, so they should know what I'm doing as an introvert. And it doesn't match.
Right.
And all of a sudden, when you have an introvert or one who does things in their brain first and then comes out slowly, it has to stew a while before things become more present. And the extrovert's ready to pop in there and throw all kinds of feelings around or descriptions, and the other person, I got it, but they don't do it themselves. And so it's harder for the introvert to reveal themselves in a way that the extrovert understands.
Mhm.
It's becoming about the language of love. How many different ways do we need to learn? I understand who we are as individual. As individually, I don't quite understand you. How do I know you such a way that I can more fully communicate with you, knowing you're not like me?
Yep. Definitely, this process has allowed us to appreciate our differences.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Well,
What a good
Your
opportunity.
vacation plan? vacation plans as a couple or as a family or what?
We do. We just actually got back from the beach. That was last week. That was great. We had 3 of our 4 kids there and some extended family. And then in July, we're going to the Eucharistic Congress in Indianapolis. So that should be great. And then in August, we're going to Montana. You've been, right?
I have.
I've never been, but Ron's been for fly fishing.
Flying out or driving out or what?
We'll fly out. We'll fly out with our, our youngest son. This is, the Bishop men usually do this every other year, go fishing. And this is the first year in 20 some years where the wives are joining us. My brother and I teamed up on my dad finally and said, look, we really like to bring our wives. And so we've got a great place now where they don't have to fish, but they can if they want to. And we can go fishing during the day and then still be together at night and get to experience Montana kind of together. So
Is it a ranch or something like that or?
yeah, it's a ranch right outside of Yellowstone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Have a great week this week. Love you guys.
You. See you.
Thank Ron and Pam for their sharing, being vulnerable and open the blades of grass and experience God's joy each day.
God
Good
bless
night.
you. Thank you.
Love you.
Love
Thank
you
Love you
too.
too.
I'm so grateful for the guests we had today who shared willingly themselves in their dialogue. And thank you for joining us. I look forward to the next episode when I join you again once more.
This has been Marriage, Let's Talk, sponsored by Worldwide Marriage Encounter, the foremost faith-inspired marriage enrichment organization in the world, providing married couples with transformative experiences through couples retreats, small groups, and more. Learn to nurture love in your marriage at wwme.org. Marriage, Let's Talk is a production of Mater Media, the apostolate that offers the Celebrate Catholic Marriage experience to energize and fortify married couples through parish events and the 7-step journey to joy. Find out more at matermedia.org.